every single week on NFL.com. He delivers your starts and sits, and he does it on our show, and you should pay attention. Because in week 1, Daniel Jones and the Giants scored no points. And then Florio said, you should start him. He came out, he was the QB1, so that means this week, Mike, we're definitely starting Daniel Jones.
No, we are sitting Daniel Jones. Like, I had him as a start last week, had him as a sit in week 1. You could call me the Daniel Jones whisperer or something like that, I guess. But this is all about the matchup. The Niners have generated pressure 46% of the time. We saw how much the pressure impacted him in week 1 against the Cowboys. They also have the second most interceptions, the 4th lowest passer rating against them. I am not in the business in starting players against this 49ers defense if I can avoid it.
All right, sorry, Doms. That means it's going to be a bad week because this man knows how things are going to turn out for you. The overall quarterback one right now is Kirk Cousins. Are we starting him in week 3?
Let me right my wrongs from last week because I had him as a sit. That was wrong. We are starting Kirk Cousins. Look, I said at the start of the show, I think this is going to be the highest scoring game of the year. Cousins right now is one of 2 quarterbacks to have thrown for over 700 yards. He is tied for the league lead with 6 touchdowns. And on the other side, the Chargers are the only team to allow over 700 passing yards this season. They just let Ryan Tannehill go off against them. You want Kirk Cousins and as many Chargers and Vikings as you could get in your starting lineup.
Everybody, Scorefest alert on this game where somebody has to win. As soon as I say that, I realize this is guaranteed to be a tie at this point. So let's go to Trevor Lawrence taking on the Houston Texans. Is Trevor start?
I know this one is a little bold, but I am saying to sit Trevor Lawrence this week. And it's nothing to do with the down week that he is coming off of. It's more about the Houston Texans. They've allowed 1 passing touchdown this season and just 16 since the start of last season. They have more interceptions than touchdown passes allowed. And last season against them in 2 games, Lawrence averaged 219 passing yards per game, and he did not throw a touchdown to go with 3 interceptions. The Texans secondary is a lot stronger than they get credit for. I would get away from Lawrence if you have a better option.
All right, get some more quarterbacks in just a bit, but let's flip over to some running backs. James Conner looked like the MVP in the first half last week. Are we starting him this week?
He's been great for fantasy purposes. I still think you go ahead and you try to get him out of your starting lineup this week. The Dallas Cowboys have been shutting down star running backs to start the season. They limited Saquon Barkley to 63 total yards and less than 10 fantasy points in week 1. Last week, the entire Jets backfield, all 3 running backs, scored 3.2 fantasy points against them. They've allowed just 89 rushing yards to the position through 2 games, and they face some stud backs. James Conner, I know you maybe don't have a better option, but if you have another back you like, I would pull him from your line.
All right, so that's one back who had a good week last week. That's a sit. Brian Robinson, great last week. Is he a start?
He is a must start this week.
Must.
Not only is he just going off as of late and getting all of the volume, he was the RB1 last week. Gave you almost 30 fantasy points, but he's been dominating the groundwork, and that comes into play this week against the Bills, who are allowing nearly 7 yards per carry on inside carries. Robinson's getting all of the inside handoffs for Washington. Yeah, maybe Josh Jacobs couldn't, but anyone else can run against that Buffalo Bills defense.
Yeah, it's tough. That one hurts with Josh Jacobs. Hopefully he gets things turned around. We added a must start there because you gotta start B-Rob in this one. Dameon Pierce playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's been a shaky start for him as well. Is he a start?
This one pains my heart. I have him as an RB1 in one of my teams, but unfortunately, I think you have to sit Dameon Pierce this week, and it has nothing to do with him. This Texans O-line is in shambles right now. They were out 4 starters last week. How bad has it been? Dameon Pierce has more rushing yards after contact than rushing yards this season. That means that he is fighting every carry just to get back to the line of scrimmage. Shout out to Kareem for that nug. And the Jags have allowed just 93 rushing yards to running backs this season. I wish you could start him, but it's just been too rough right now. You got to get away.
That pains me. Free Dameon Pierce. Will somebody block for this man? You're carrying all these fantasy wide receivers. Speaking of the wide receivers, we get tight ends and wideouts coming up. Again, go to NFL.com/Florio. Check out the starts and the sits. If you wanted more quarterbacks, here's some more. Goff and Tua, both starts. Jordan Love and Stafford sits for Mike. Travis Etienne is a start. Kyron Williams also. But Dalvin and Rachaad White are going to Florio's bench. Start. your wide receivers against the Minnesota Vikings. Let's get back to more starts and sits, speaking of wide receivers, with a guy who's having a great start to his season, Nico Collins of the Houston Texans. Are you starting him against Duval?
The only reason you should sit him is if you don't like fantasy points for some reason. I think Nico Collins is as close to a must start as you could be right now. Through 2 games, he's averaging 10 targets per game, 113 yards, and just under 21 fantasy points per game. And the Texans, I keep saying it, they are throwing the ball more than anyone. They are one of 2 teams right now with over 90 passing attempts. The Jags are in the top third in yards allowed to wide receivers. A lot to like about Nico Collins this week and moving forward.
Great start to the season for Nico Collins. Also a great start for Garrett Wilson, who in week 1 caught a touchdown pass where if he was behind this monitor and the ball was thrown right here, he somehow caught the ball. And then in week 2, he had another touchdown. Is he quarterback proof? Are we starting him again?
No, I'm saying to sit Garrett Wilson this week. And a big part of it is what you just said, Patrick. Catch of the year candidate for a touchdown in week 1, his 68-yard touchdown in week 2. Besides that, he caught 1 of his 7 targets for 15 yards. And it's not a Garrett Wilson problem, it is a Zach Wilson problem, but the Patriots have dominated him in 3 career games against them. He averages 214 yards per game, has 2 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. The Patriots have a very tough secondary. Eventually, the big play is not going to come. I don't think it happens this week.
All right, so a sit for Garrett Wilson. Earlier, we heard Sammy ask Marcus about Big Mike Williams. He said start Big Mike. Do you concur? We starting Big Mike?
Yeah, you might want to write must, because I think that Mike Williams is a must-start option for you in week 3. I had him as a start last week. He came through with over 16 fantasy points, but this is an indoor game against the Vikings, who are top 10 in yards allowed to wide receivers, to outside wide receivers, and top 5 on deep passes. That's after being top 5 in all of those categories last year, expecting a ton of points. You want to start him, Keenan, all your Chargers receivers, and all your Vikings receivers.
Yeah, instead of writing must, I just wrote Vikings. It's just like, it's going to become shorthand. It's going to be like tight ends against the Eagles a couple of years ago. We'll go to, oh my gosh, the tight ends, it's Kyle Pitts. Is this the week? Michael Florio, are you starting Kyle Pitts?
Look, I already feel your sighs and your eye rolls and all of that through the screen. I'm giving Kyle Pitts one more chance. Look, I know it has been rough to start the year, but the Lions have allowed the most yards to tight ends and 18 fantasy points per game, and they have faced the Chiefs without Travis Kelce and the Seattle Seahawks. Pitts is by far the most talented tight end they are going to face so far this season. If he disappoints you this week, then we need to have a real difficult conversation, but I'm giving Pitts one more shot.
Oh, come back. I just can't wait to see how
Arthur Smith, throw him the ball.
He's pleading with you, Art. He's pleading. Get this man the ball. He needs it. We all need it. Gerald Everett, again, this is the game where we got everybody going. Is Gerald Everett also a start?
A lot of points in this one, but I would be looking to get away and sit Gerald Everett if I could in this one. A big part of it is he's just not seeing the field a whole bunch. He's been splitting routes and targets. Last week, he only ran 15 routes. Donald Parham ran more. Parham scored the touchdown in week 1. They've been splitting the passing opportunities. So I think if you're starting him, you're really just hoping for a touchdown or a big play. There's other tight end options like Taysom Hill I would play over him this week.
Oh, last week's version of this game was the Seahawks against the Lions, and Sam Laporta a start in that one. Are we saying Sam Laporta's a start in this one?
Yeah, 3 weeks in a row now, I am telling you to start Sam Laporta. Look, in week 1, he was the tight end 8. In week 2, he was the tight end 8. On the year, he is the tight end 4 right now. He is getting consistent volume, and that's in his first 2 games in the NFL. I think as the season progresses, he's going to get more comfortable, get more involved, and more volume going his way. And then the Falcons gave up 15 fantasy points to Hayden Hurst in week 1. I think a big day is in store for Laporta.
A big day for Sam Laporta, but most importantly, Kyle Pitts. We'll see if we can get that going. NFL.com/start-sit. More of Florio's wide receiver starts and sits. He's got Jordan Addison as a start, Zay as well. Marquise Brown, Courtland Sutton, both sits. Dallas Goedert and Hayden Hurst are starts, while Dalton Schultz a sit yet again, as is Tyler Higbee.